Education in Montgomery County matters to all of us, whether we have children in school or not. It's essential to our county. And it's essential, the League would say, for us to be informed when we cast our votes for Board of Education. That's what this forum is about, and that really fits within the mission of the League. We are nonpartisan, as I hope you know. We want every eligible voter to vote, and we are equally committed to voter education so that when you vote, you know who you're voting for. This candidate forum will give you a chance to make decisions about the Board of Education candidates.
What is your opinion on the current state of school safety and security, and what approaches do you support to improve the current environment so that students, teachers, and administrators are not at risk in school? I'm going to call on District 2 candidates, and we'll start with Ms. Zimmerman.
The first thing that I want to speak to is the reality of what I live in this every single day. I can tell you that my current classroom doesn't have a working lock. That's horrifying. I can tell you that we have drills to practice if something were to happen. It's terrible. I know teachers that keep lollipops in their classroom to keep their kids quiet. That this reality is so scary to each of us. And when I think about these little things like my door not having a lock on it, I directly tie it back to our budget. Where is that in the budget, and why isn't someone taking action immediately to take care of that? I think about all of our students and the risk that they take by coming to school every day. I think about how we have actionable steps that we can take and that they need to be done faster rather than at this belabored pace.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz?
So the issue of safety is something that's very much on my mind. When I was at Gaithersburg High School, when I was there, we had school resource officers, and so we saw firsthand how our school resource officers built relationships in order to prevent incidents from happening. I know because when speaking to them, they shared with me how they stopped drugs from being sold in the school, how they took knives away, things of that nature. Many people talk about the school to prison pipeline, that it's being promoted by SROs. This is false. In fact, our suspension levels here in Montgomery County are very low, and we're reported by that just only recently in our school studies. So it's very important to know that SROs are definitely a viable option and an important one for our children and our families to keep them safe. Thank you.
Moving on to District 4, I'll call Ms. Stewart.
First, we need to know what's happening in our schools, and because the reporting mechanisms aren't strong enough, we don't know what's actually happened every day in our schools. So I would like to see a full assessment of safety and climate in our schools. We need to do that with some focus groups, so we make sure we actually get all the information, and then we need to communicate more clearly how to report hate incidents, and also how to make sure to get that bullying form filled out so we can actually track what's going on in our schools. And then we need to work with outside partners to come in and see where we can make improvements.
Thank you. Ms. Evans.
We can always increase the confidence and trust in our staff and in our students. And the best way to do that has been to go to the schools directly to speak with the staff and the students. Our students talked about wanting more alarms on the doors, having badges. We have badges in the schools, being strategic about where we place cameras. That can always be done. But really, it's been important to build relationships. We want our students to know that safety and security is of the utmost importance. And when they come in the school building, they have a trusted adult that they can contact and know and talk to if there's anything happening and going on that they don't feel comfortable about. And so I've been really happy to see that our schools are really trying to do a great job at getting out into the community and talking and getting to know the parents ahead of school.
Thank you. Moving to at-large candidates, Ms. Montoya.
The reality is that we have some really scary things going on in some of our schools right now. And as a parent who sees these things on the news or who hears about the bullying incidents, either from my own children, from other families that I know, parents want something to be done. I think so do our kids. But I think we need to, the question we're asking ourselves is, where is the line, right? If we're talking about bringing law enforcement into our schools, around our students, where do we draw the line? And time again, I actually hear a pattern from most people. We want the line to be drawn at serious incidents. We don't want law enforcement in there hassling our kids. We're not calling them because someone was being disrespectful or it's a classroom management issue. We're talking about guns, weapons, trespassers, drug sales, and mass incidents, right? The things that we know are extremely serious. That's when we want law enforcement involved. But to do that, they have to build connection with our kids so our kids feel like they can come to them to begin with to prevent some of these things from happening.
Thank you. Ms. Harris.
I look at safety and security in kind of two pieces. One is safety to me is, does everybody in the building feel safe and welcome and valued being exactly who they are? And do they feel a shared responsibility for making their school a place that people want to be? And, when we are creating that kind of a culture, then we are better able to operationalize some of the things that we're doing right now, like our student ID pilots, door alarms. We are operationalizing security assessments of all of our schools to identify issues that can be corrected both in the short and long term with things like additional cameras, security assistance, repeaters to ensure there aren't any dead zones in schools. But again, it gets to, if students have a trusted adult in the building, we're getting a long way.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.